So as we pull it back to in-house versus external, Ryan, I know Chad obviously mentioned some strategies, but are you working on any strategies for building up expertise in-house so that you can rely less on external counsel?
Yeah, absolutely. That's really, as Chad said, you really got to focus on the bread and butter of what you're doing and make sure that you can do that as much as possible internally. So that really is the primary focus of Espresso's legal department, is to develop internal legal capabilities to close sort of our core business, which is venture debt loans. And one way we do this is, obviously hiring lawyers internally, of course. So you have the people that know how to do it. The second way is by implementing a lot of technologies and processes in order to make what you're doing significantly more efficient than if you were to use external counsel. Because you're doing the same thing very, very closely each time you do it. So it really makes a lot of sense. And as I mentioned previously, what we do, we charge our internal legal fees and our external legal fees to our borrower clients. And due to these efficiencies that we've developed, when we look at sort of the overall fees, internal and external legal fees together, it comes in at about half of what it would cost if we had an external legal counsel doing it each time. So really everybody wins. So it's great. And so not just from a cost perspective, but from a quality perspective, the documents are extremely consistent across the board and very fast as well. So our internal teams are used to extremely fast turnaround times that it'd be really hard to get elsewhere if we used external counsel for a lot of things. But at the same time, there are some areas where we actually switched from doing some things internally to externally, when we've taken analysis at it and said, okay, let's look at what our bread and butter work is. How much would it cost to do something elsewhere? What that would look like. And does it actually make sense to do this internally? And could we get a better value proposition by doing it out externally? So one thing we've done is with some of our investments in venture capital funds is we actually determined that that type of work was better suited to be at external counsel that was highly focused on just doing that particular thing. And they had themselves developed a very efficient model where they would actually, it was unique, but if they had other investors investing in that particular fund, we'd be able to split the external legal counsel cost across all of the investors. And that way they have expertise, there's leverage there, and it just made a lot of sense. We're always looking for those sorts of unique situations that, does this go external, does this go internal? And we're not afraid of either one, because it's justifying the best experience, not just the cost. And the other thing I would say is that when we are looking at external counsel, we spend a lot of time looking for external counsel that really fits with our business model. Because we are a little unique in what we do, trying to do a lot of things internally, we really look to define the scope of what's going on, be transparent that we do try to do a lot of things internally. So it's not going to be start to finish work. We would be looking more for one-off, is this a market type thing, or these tougher type of questions, and look for external counsel that is willing to do that sort of work, develop out our templates, make them as flexible as possible, and work within our business model. And we found a lot. Recently, we just started working with a lawyer who is a sole practitioner, but she had very deep experience in one of the markets we were starting to operate in. So it was a really perfect fit, but we had to speak to 10 lawyers before we found this one that was a perfect fit for what we were doing. And it just takes time being transparent to get there, and taking the time to actually say, this is what we're looking for, not promising to be the best client ever, but promising, hey, we're looking for this. Can you match that?
Yeah, those are some really very valuable strategies for sure. And with Chad and Jamie, do you find some of those strategies have either helped, or do you have any additional strategies to help with building up the expertise in-house?
Go for it,
I,
Jamie.
I'm a, I'm about to post a job for Privacy and Policy Counsel. If anyone here is interested, we'll be hiring in the next couple of weeks. I think I agree with what Ryan said. You're trying to build up that expertise as much as you can. And I try to make it like a foregone conclusion that we need to hire someone in with in-house expertise when we do. Okay, we have all these privacy and policy initiatives that are going forward in 2022. I just need someone to support those and run with them. And when you're going through the budgeting process, it makes sense because, hey, you're going to allocate all this money to do all this stuff. It makes sense that you need someone a human being to actually make sure it all goes to the way you're planning. So yeah. So again, I lean to the hire when you need to, but use outside counsel until that point that you absolutely need to hire.
One thing I really liked about what Ryan said, and I try to do this a lot too, is I really try to be transparent with my external counsel to make sure they know the value that they're getting and that I'm getting, and my expectations and what I'm looking for. And that's everything from who's on their team to how they operate to like their human style. It's not just like their expertise. Like I've got no time for people who just have like too big of an ego or are unresponsive. There are so many smart people out there. I don't need those folks. And so part of like my frame up is not only what I need you to do, but how I need you to do it, who I'm expecting on your team, why I'm looking to hire you, so that like it's abundantly clear. And you know what I try to tell them is that we want to frame out this, or we want you to do this, or it's efficient for us. I've got to make sure that like, I've been on the other side as the seller. There's got to be value to them. So the value to them is that what are you bringing to them once they've started making things efficient for you? Because then they're going to think to themselves, they're working themselves out of a deal. And so you got to say to them, and then here's the pieces. Once we get good at this, we can blow out this model to do this and this. Who do you think I'm going to love and want to use? It's going to be you. And also as a client perspective, like this part may start small, but like I've been a seller of legal services. So I understand quality instructions, transparency, not giving you fake timelines. That's what you're going to get with me. And I promise that to you too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really important to like treat everyone like a human. We've almost all of us have been on both sides of this thing. Lawyers and law firms, they're just humans. And if you treat them like robots, they will treat you like a robot. And then everyone's going to be unhappy, but because you pay the money, you're going to be upset about it. So when I think about building scale and efficiency, you can do it altruistically because you think everyone should be a human, which I think is lovely. And I hope everyone thinks that way, or just do it cynically because you want a better product, faster, that's better for you. If you want to be a cynic about it, be it as a cynic, but treat people like a human. And that'll actually build your scale and knowledge and process too, because you'll get a really happy service provider.
Yeah, I would add one more thing. Like one of my pet peeves when hiring outside counsel is when I see a junior on the files doing all the work and they never bring the junior onto the call. They never mention their name. And I find it abhorrent. I always tell them, no, if he's working on the file or she's working on the file, I want her on the call. Okay, billing aside, let's meet this person. They're the one doing all the work. We could all joke that the 12-year partner is doing the work. It's not the 12-year partner doing the work. And the juniors really appreciate getting that airtime. But I think it's table stakes because this is the person that, for the most part, taking care of you, and they do better work when they know you care about them. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd also say that we also, definitely what Chad said, all those principles, I think we do is we also implement as well when we're looking at external counsel. And the other thing is focus on train them as to how we do it, how our documents work, what we expect, what we're interested in, what we don't care about really, so that and the same thing as Jamie said, that applies to partners and junior associates. Happy to redo the training. We also try to integrate them into our platforms as well. We have a deal closing platform, so we bring them on so we can collaboratively work together and try to really make them part of the team. And as Chad said, treat them like human beings and make sure that they have the skills they need to meet the same goals that you want to meet.
These are fantastic insights. Oh, sorry, Tiffany, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just about to say the same thing. I think it's so important to really enable and build up those members so they feel valued, they feel like they've made an impact, and that's how you build loyalty as well.
Ryan, you mentioned something earlier about utilizing technology to create efficiencies